Hello, I'm Derek Wheatley, and welcome to episode 21 of the Wheatley podcast. As always, thanks very much for your support. Thanks to Teresa, who was the last guest on, and we got some good feedback from it. We're recording this slightly earlier than normal, which is very interesting, because now I'm just guessing that we're getting good feedback off it, and we're not. I don't actually know. We're on Discord as well, by the way. I know I've mentioned it. I'll mention it at the end of the show, what it is again and how to get in touch with us about it. It's just kind of a little community that we've got going on at the moment, and just seeing where it's going, if there's any crack with it. So I suppose the next thing to do is introduce my guest. He was lined up, I think, back in March, and he was lined up to be on after Teresa, actually. So we've got that worked out, that part anyway. So my guest today is a man who's very forward about his mental health on Facebook, and I've managed to fall into a friendship with him through a mutual friend, which is great. And my guest today is Sean Keys. Sean, how are you doing?
Grand now, yeah.
Great,
Good.
Thanks for coming over. First question, as always, can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing, please?
Yeah, so I grew up, I'm 1 out of 8. I'm 7th down. So yeah, the upbringing was pretty intense now,
Okay.
if I'm being honest about it. Like before I came on here this evening, I rang all my family and I said to them, look, I'm doing a podcast, any chance I could chat about my past?
Yeah.
And, I'd get to chat about my father or whatever. So, everyone was fine. My mother was fine. All my siblings were fine. So, a pretty rough upbringing, right, to be honest with you. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to get into a blame and name or not name, but I'm not on here to poor me. I had a horrible life. Yeah. No, I had a tough upbringing. But, to be honest with you, my parents had tough upbringings, right? They had really tough upbringings, and they came together. And unfortunately, they had their own baggage coming into their marriage, and then 8 kids later. So my synopsis on that is I wouldn't survive with 8 kids. So I can't really put too much blame there when you have 8 children. And then I'm the black sheep. Okay. Like, I'm the one that won't conform. I'm the one that can't be told what to do. So that's a nightmare when you're a child. That's a nightmare when you're a parent. I'm a parent now. So you kind of would love your kids to actually do as they're asked. Yeah. And then I come along. So, I'd say it was great crack for the parents trying to deal with me on top of everything else that they had to deal with, So my mother actually said to me, I said to her one day, tell the truth, I am your favourite, aren't I? Messing with her, like I call up to her every day. But she goes, I'll tell you, if you were born first, you'd be an only child. And I said, I knew it. I knew you only wanted me. So I texted all my siblings and said, see, Mommy only wanted me. She had to get through you to get to me. And then she was so happy she'd one more. Yeah.
That's to be fair, it's a great line.
That's my way of looking at it. That's my way of looking at it. And I'm going to keep that story. But, yeah, it was pretty tough. It was tough enough in our family. To be honest with you, there was a lot of stress, a lot of trauma. I won't go into the nitty gritty because it's so deep and dark. Okay. I came out here this evening. I do want it to be light and humorous. At the same token, I want it to be a message for people to kind of go, Jenny, I could do it. And that's my main point for being out here. So to give you a kind of a roundabout, the trauma I experienced was so severe that my amygdala grew larger in my brain. Right. So I've MRIs to prove that. 3 MRIs because they didn't know what it was. Yeah. And they then turned around and said, there's like the London taxi drivers, when they're learning how to be a taxi driver in London, their brain will actually grow larger. They're the only people on the planet where their brains grow larger because there's so much information to take in. So the brain will adapt. But with me, because of the emotional stress I was going through as a child and trying to adapt to that environment, my emotional centre grew larger. So I'm pretty emotional as people go, and it's a roller coaster. If I'm being honest with you, it's an absolute roller coaster because you can't regulate your emotions. Yeah, So you have to figure out other ways to regulate.
Yeah.
Without having the ability naturally to regulate, because it's just too strong. Your brain is too strong. The emotional side.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you think that's part of the reason why you can be so open about things, or the reason you are so open about things when it comes to mental health and stuff?
The reason I'm open is I don't care.
Right.
I really don't care.
Yeah.
And I don't mean I don't care in a sense of, do you know, there was some people go, I don't care, but deep down they care. I heard a great word lately, indifferent, right? The reason I don't care is this. I didn't ask for the mental health. And I didn't go out as a child and do something with the intentions of ending up with mental health.
Yeah.
And I have a big argument against this. It's like, nobody feels shame when they have a heart attack.
No.
If you're born with a heart defect and you get a heart attack, you don't bow your head and go, oh, like, oh, you know, I'm awful sorry, or oh, I feel awkward, like, you know, I have a heart attack. You don't.
No.
The majority of people that have mental health, something happened.
Yeah.
The majority, not all, which was brilliant to learn when I was learning all about this. So yeah, why would I feel embarrassed?
Yeah.
You know, why would I feel ashamed about it? I like, as my brother said to me last night, you wear your mental health on your chest as if it's a crest. Yeah. I don't go around going, hey, I have mental health. Yeah. You know, I don't. If someone was chatting to me, I go, yeah, I have mental health issues. Because to me, that's the same as saying there's a Reservoir of Dogs picture in front of me. It has the same thing in my head.
It's your
I think the biggest stigma with mental health is the people that have it, because they're afraid.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't know, should I say it? Should I not say it? One of the most you know, especially with BPD, I would chat to people with BPD because I love them. They're like,
and can you just before, can you explain that actually? Because borderline personality disorder, we were just chatting before we started here.
Yeah.
It's misrepresented in a lot of ways on TV, film and stuff. What exactly would you describe it as?
I describe borderline personality disorder as being a very adult toddler.
Okay.
You know, there is no difference. Absolutely
Right.
Zero.
Yeah.
You are a toddler trapped in an adult's body. You can be happy 1 minute and 5 minutes later crying, 10 minutes after that just loving life, and 5 minutes after that being in a fit of rage.
Wow.
While going back then to being happy.
Yeah.
And people look at you like, are you for real? But just like a toddler,
Yeah.
they switch. You know, I'm listening to your podcast, you have nieces and nephews. Watch them how they switch. They just switch and switch and switch and switch. And we're the same.
Yeah.
We're exactly the same. But the problem I get with people is they don't understand borderline personality disorder. So they're looking at this person, and 1 minute they're really angry, and next thing they're going, so will we go shopping, or what do you want to do? And they're like, are you for real? You just had a tantrum. And it's like, yeah, but it's over now.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's mental in its own way,
Yeah.
no pun intended. But it's basically borderline personality disorder. I would argue with anyone. It's basically this: when you're growing up, your amygdala is your emotional center, and that develops, right? So your emotions, fear, you know yourself, so fear and all that. But you need your prefrontal cortex to develop, to be human, to plan, to look at the world, to be moral, to be ethic, right? And every time you're in fear, the prefrontal doesn't get to develop.
Okay.
So you have enough fear going on, this is paused. Your prefrontal is paused.
Yeah.
So what you have then is, depending on the level of fear, imaginary or real, when you become an adult, your prefrontal is way behind where it should be. Like, look, I read up on this and all this stuff. Like, from what I read, it takes 25 years to develop your prefrontal cortex without trauma.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can become a logical, everyday, neurotypical person if you can get to 25 without trauma.
Yeah.
Without, I think, 3 traumatic incidents.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah.
3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where to plug that one from, I don't know. I mean, Everybody has trauma.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when I looked into all that, I realised that I need to develop my prefrontal cortex.
Yeah.
I need this to catch up, grow up.
Yeah.
You know, grow up with me. Thankfully, I didn't grow up too much. I don't think I'll ever lose that.
But that's not a bad thing entirely. But when did you discover that you had mental health problems?
So when I was 19, I took my first overdose.
Right. Okay.
Right. So you know, yeah. I mean, I couldn't figure my head out. It was all over the place. When I was about 13, my head just went from driving, say, 50 mile an hour to 200 mile an hour.
Okay.
And I was trying to talk to people and go, there's something wrong here, and nobody knew what to say to me.
Yeah.
And it was a nightmare because you're chatting to people and I couldn't relate. The reason I can relate now, and I know I can relate, is because I couldn't relate.
Right.
And I was trying to talk to people and go, there's something going on. There's something going on in my head, and God help them, they hadn't a clue. So I used to bring songs and go, what do you think of this song? And they'd listen to the song and they'd be like, yeah, that's a bit weird, isn't it? And I'd feel 20 times worse, but deep down I was going, I need you to know that this is what I feel. You know, and I couldn't relate. So it just got worse and worse. And then at 19, I had enough. I couldn't deal with it anymore. So I tried suicide. I just wanted out.
Okay.
The pain inside someone's head when you have borderline is so severe. It is beyond comprehension how much pain we feel. And I know that's across the board with people with borderline. One person described it as, it's the equivalent to having 3rd degree burns while someone is pouring salt on you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Graphic.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's the pain. Like when I'm hurt by someone, it's the equivalent to a child dying.
Wow.
There is no middle ground.
Yeah.
When I'm happy, it's the same as when I got married.
Yeah.
Which is mental. But hey, I'm thankfully I'm more happy these days than not.
Yeah.
But when you're in pain, you're in pain.
Of course, yeah.
And it's a nightmare to try and get yourself out of that
when
your brain doesn't naturally regulate.
And when you thankfully survived the overdose, was it a case that you went to get help, or did you go back where you were?
So, yeah, that's a good question. Like, I went to get help.
Yeah.
Because once you take an overdose, the state owns you, and you know, I ended up in St. Lomans for the night. Thankfully, my brother actually came down that night, and God help him, he was so distraught. He stayed and he brought me home.
Right.
To be honest, yeah, I went to counselling, but like when I went to counselling that time, it's not awkward for me to say, so I'm just going to be blunt and say it.
Go for it.
I was telling my story, right? And all I was getting was, oh my God, you poor devil.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's useless to me, you know? That's like you know, I spray cars. That's like you coming to me now and going, I want to spray a car. I go, good. Go in there and pull the trigger, which is what you do.
Yeah.
And you come out and the car is destroyed, and I go, you poor devil.
Yeah.
And you're looking at me going, but that doesn't answer how I sprayed the car.
Yeah.
Oh, would you like a pat on the back?
Yeah.
And this drove me mad. This drove me mental, no pun intended. I was like, this isn't helping me. So every time I kept going, I kept getting your poor devil. Yeah. And I was like, I know my past. I do, like, and then you have to tell it again and again and again.
That's it, yeah.
So, excuse me. So I went back to what I'd done best, which was drinking at the weekends and absolutely getting out of my head so I could get away for a few hours, you know?
And how bad did that, because obviously I'm learning as we go here, so when you drink on top of the illness that you have, what does it pause it, or does it?
Yeah, well, look, I can only say for me, I'm even crossing my arms here with protecting my vital organs because I feel awkward. because I remember most of what I did.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I don't remember it all. But no, for me, there was so much chatter in my head, intrusive thoughts. For anyone that understands mental health, it's intrusive thoughts. There was so much going on inside my head that when I was drinking, it was great to just get away from it. So I was in a rush to get there.
Right.
And the problem is when you're rushing that quickly drinking to just get to that point, you forget to slow it down.
Yeah.
And like, I won't say I was an absolute nightmare on drink. I wasn't, but I definitely had once or twice a year where, you know, it was questionable. And unfortunately for a person like myself, I'm all or nothing. So that once or twice a year was more than enough to make up for the rest of the 50 weeks.
Yeah.
It was a pretty much disaster. Didn't really drink midweek or anything like that, but the weekends, I wanted to get out of my head and get away.
Yeah.
Because you will do anything to get out of your head when you're in that much pain.
I can imagine. And did they immediately diagnose you?
No. So when I was 19, I took an overdose.
Yeah.
You know, and I took pills. I wanted to see. Again, I'll say this, even though it's, you know, I'm trying to be as humorous as possible, but it is serious at the same time, right? So I took pills because I wanted to be found asleep.
Yeah.
And that's where your head is. It's mad in its own way, thinking, well, at least they'll find you asleep, as if that mattered. But you're not thinking like that. Anyway, long story short, then I went all the way until I was 31, and I had taken 2 more overdoses, but upped the tablets, but thankfully nothing happened.
Yeah.
At 31 then I slit my wrist. You know, slit down to the bone, and again, mental to think that you can. I was standing over my sink going, well, don't dirty the kitchen.
Yeah.
And that is one of my most prominent memories of just how severe mental health actually is.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. Don't dirty the kitchen. To think that it would be okay. Oh, thank God he didn't dirty the kitchen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The mentality of it. And when I done that, I woke up and brought to hospital, down, and you know, they had to operate on my hand and all that. Now I have a deformed hand from it for life. Some people would give their left arm for mental health. I literally did. You know. So I feel 20 times better, so I can say these things. No,
but this is the thing, because I don't know if I mentioned it in the last couple of episodes, but I was certainly supposed to mention it at some point, and we'll dig into it a bit because obviously you're the kind of person who is able to do that, remove themselves from what happened years ago, and it's about, you know, is it okay to laugh at mental health?
Yeah,
you know, and that's
100%.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. Like, and I do think that a lot of people. Now I understand someone who's never experienced mental health, and they might see it as a complete no. But it's interesting to hear the people who have experienced it think it's okay, you know.
I would argue the case that it's okay to laugh at mental health.
Yeah.
For the purpose is, we go through so much pain on a daily basis. You know, you've anxiety. I'm listening to your podcast. Can we not have a little laugh too?
It's true, yeah.
Can we not just have a bit of crack? A little bit of a laugh? Can we not just wake up and go... Like, I'm so open about mental health. This is a story I'll tell people. Because my hand is deformed.
Yeah.
Simple as, you can see it. I don't care, as in... Because I'm genuinely happy now.
Okay.
So I've worked hard to be sitting here chatting to you without any BS. That I can say I don't care because I've worked hard. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm genuinely happy. So, but one story I'll say to people is, oh, your hand, you know, if they say your hand, I say, yeah, I suffer with mental health, and unfortunately I slit my wrist. I don't even try and hide it anymore, or I had an accident, or you know, try and diminish it. No, that's what I did. It's a reality, and people need to talk about that. Yeah, you know, because you do need to talk about it. And like that, as I said to you, that was my 4th attempt. Yeah. And I go, that was my 4th attempt. So I stopped because I'm used to that. Yeah. And they just look at me. Yeah. But I know what I'm doing. Yeah. I'm telling them, this is real, right? and then I finish with a joke because I want them to feel at ease.
Yeah. It takes the sting out of it for them. Like,
and everyone that I say it to, when I go, yeah, that was my fourth attempt, so I decided to stop and get better because I'm useless at it, and I hate being useless at things. And they look at me and we both laugh. Yeah. And that's what I want is, I just told you I slit my wrist and we finished with a laugh.
Yeah.
You still know what I done was serious, but you don't feel awkward anymore around me.
Correct, yeah.
And that's what I want to stop, is nobody feels awkward around me with mental health, because I'm not, I've mental health and I feel bad about it. And I don't mean that in a derogative way. I mean it, I'm okay that I've mental health. And I want people to be okay too. There's nothing wrong with it. I just say to people that I know with mental health, there's nothing wrong with you. Somehow, if there's a God, he forgot to leave the instructions. And we're left here.
Yeah. I think it's
and that's kind of like, so some of us kind of have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because we didn't come with an instruction manual.
That's a good way of putting it. And actually, on that note, I'm just going to fly to the ad and then we'll get back into it. Oh, where's the button? Fusion Training Centre, Monksland Athlone. A place to train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing, martial arts and CrossFit. A great atmosphere with experienced coaches and a real sense of community. If you want to join the team, find us on Facebook at Fusion Training Centre or drop in for a chat. Fusion Training Centre, train like a warrior. It's all go in there now, so if you want to get fit or if you want to lose a bit of weight, whatever it is, give Martin a shout and he'll get you sorted. We were just actually talking a bit there, Sean, about something that was kind of an interesting way for you to look at things that I haven't been looking at, and it's about someone saying to you, you're borderline. Yeah. So tell us what your problem is kind of with that, you know.
The problem I have with that is I'm not borderline. I'm a person who has borderline. There's a huge difference, and the words we use are huge. You know, when you label somebody, they become that label. You know, it's like a dog wearing a collar. It doesn't like it then when it's off. And the problem then is, can you never be not a borderline? But the thing about me is, I no longer have any traits of a person with borderline.
Yeah.
So I can't even be diagnosed at this stage with a mental illness. Kept all my madness, thankfully. Didn't lose any of that. Probably worse than I was before in that sense. But I can't be I can no longer be diagnosed with a mental illness.
Yeah.
I had severe anxiety disorder, borderline personality disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. They're 3 good mental illnesses to have. I always wanted numbers and letters after my name, but I didn't think I'd be getting them that way.
But they're high up the leaderboard as well.
They're the CEOs. And they're the CEOs of mental health, which is kind of, I always wanted to be a CEO, but...
You got there.
I got there in the end, you know. Very proud of them numbers and letters after my name.
But you can't... Explain that to someone who's never heard this before, because literally you told me 2 minutes ago, so I have never heard it until now. How you can be, you know.
Yeah, so right, I didn't get my diagnosis until 2009.
Okay.
After I'd done my wristing. And in fairness to the therapist counsellor, she was fantastic. She didn't even diagnose me. And I thought I had ADHD because I'm naturally wired. I'm a hyperactive type of person, and I have this mental amount of energy all the time. So, excuse me, I asked her one day, you know, like, I'm really working hard on this ADHD, and she goes, you don't have ADHD. I said, what do I have? Well, she says, to be honest with you, like, I don't really, you know, we're doing therapy, it's great, so, you know, you're grand. And I have to respect the fact that now I understand what she was trying to do. She was trying to protect me, because people with borderline get such a bad name.
Yeah.
It's such a bad... Like, in America, if you have borderline, some of them won't even treat you. They just will not go near you.
They just... Is it a kind of thing they don't know what to do, or...?
It's exactly that, right? And I'll say the reason it's exactly that for what I said earlier on, because you're dealing with a toddler.
Yeah.
Except for they're an adult. And they don't cop onto that going... Well, okay then. soften them up.
Mm.
I've never met a person with borderline that I didn't have a bit of crack with and a laugh. Never. Some of them, weren't over the moon with me because I'm a little bit rogue because I'm neither completely disabled with my illness, I'm not neurotypical.
Okay.
So I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
So some people with borderline don't exactly love me because it's a nightmare for them because I got better.
Yeah.
And I don't say that out of smartness. They don't tell you can get better.
Yeah.
They don't say, listen, if you work hard enough, you can remove your traits. And you see, when I got diagnosed, there's 9 traits of borderline, so I literally wrote them down. And as it turned out, I'd 8. And I just said to my therapist, we'll start with number 1. And, well, I prefer if I'm not doing anything. And I railroaded my therapy. I used to go in every week and go, so I want to work on this week. Well, I prefer if we talked about this. No, this is what we're doing. I'm the customer. If you come into me and you wanted your car sprayed pink with polka dots on it, that's exactly what I give you. I'm the customer, so this is what I want.
How hard is it to do that in this? Because we see doctors and we see therapists in a certain in a position of almost power because of their knowledge and things like that. How hard was it for you to go in and sit down and just come out with that?
It wasn't hard because at that stage, that was my 4th attempt.
Yeah.
And I had caused so much damage to my family.
Yeah.
I had caused so much fear. For the first time in my life, my family actually were afraid.
Okay.
Even my now wife, because of what I was capable of doing. Now, when you have that level of fear in your family, for me anyway, there was no way was I ever not going to railroad my therapy. I wasn't taking any more chances with, poor you, are you okay? I was done. This is how we're doing it. I'm not even medicated. I was never on medication.
Oh, really?
No. They tried to medicate me. I was like, no. What's wrong with me? Well, it's just you're severe. We would need to medicate you on the basis of what you did. Why? Well, it's just because of your suicidal ideations and the fact that you did it. And I just basically said, do you know what's wrong with me? Yeah. So, can you teach me how to cope?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why do I need medication? Why?
Yeah.
Why do I need it then?
It's a very interesting way of looking at it, and it's a very it's a brave way of looking at it because I've spoken about this on before, so we'll go into it again. But I honestly thought that at the time when I was really bad, that if I didn't, I felt that I might just go down one route.
That's the thing. It's like your man. I read a story years ago. This fella, and he was smoking and he forgot his cigarettes, and there were 3 hours, was it 6 hours out into the ocean? And he goes, 3 hours out in the ocean. He goes, I forgot my cigarettes. And your man was like, come on, we're out here now, just let's fish. Oh no, he says, I'll go mad, So he drove back 3 hours, right? Got the cigarettes, drove back out 3 hours, 9 hours gone. Your man never smoked a cigarette all weekend out of embarrassment.
Oh, damn.
And he says to him, why didn't you smoke? I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
So he says, so then you didn't need them.
Yeah. Yeah.
What made you think you needed them?
Yeah.
He says, I just felt comfortable when they were in my pocket.
Yeah.
So you see, again, it's the dog with the collar. I see our dog, you wash the dog, wash our dog, and you take its collar off, and it wants its collar back on. And it doesn't feel comfortable unless it's on. And to me, that's like medication. It's like, oh, geez, God knows what would happen if I didn't take my medication. Well, the same thing that happened before you were on medication, and you got through that.
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from, and it's one of those ones. It's because I was going to actually ask your opinion on medication. I didn't know whether you're on medication or not, obviously. So it's that thing. Do you have across the board opinion of medication?
No. I think you should take medication if you need to take medication.
Yeah. Okay.
I think medication though should be a crutch, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Right. I can't talk about medication because I didn't take it.
Yeah.
So it'd be very wrong for me to go, you shouldn't take medication. That's not fair for someone who really, really needs it, right? My personal opinion is medication should be there like a crutch until your leg gets better.
Yeah.
When you break your leg and you get better, you don't walk with the crutch anymore.
Yeah.
But you need that crutch until your leg is better.
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest about the health system, that should be taught. Listen,
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on medication, okay, because you need it, and let's try and come off it. Isn't that encouraging?
Yeah.
Isn't that like, I'll give you an example. Like, I spray cars. I'm not a doctor, but let's just pretend, right? If you came to me or whatever, and I said, well, look, we'll put you on medication, but over the course of a year, let's try a couple of things, and as you get stronger, we'll wean it down a bit.
Yeah.
You're going to have more confidence when you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but it takes time.
Yeah.
But why doesn't mental health take the time to be a black belt where you can actually not be medicated?
Yeah.
Where, like, you don't have any more traits? Why don't they explain this to you and go, listen, if you work hard... I work very hard at my mental health. I don't get up every day and go, oh, I'm okay, I'm grand. I wake up every day knowing I'm still me. If I go to bed between 9 and 10 every night, 7 days of the week. I wake between 5 and 6, 7 days of the week.
You're up the same time as me.
Always.
We chat some.
Yeah. But I mean, I can't get tired.
Yeah.
That's a no-no for me. Absolute zero. Cannot get tired. I'm a nightmare, right? So I respect that. So I don't stay up till 1 o'clock, because if I do, people will suffer.
Yeah.
And that's not fair on them. I have to, I get up in the morning minding kids or whatever the case may be. It's not really fair on them that I stayed up till 1 o'clock watching binge and Netflix.
Yeah. And
then I'm like a lunatic the next day. That's not fair on them. I have a hypersensitive brain. I have to respect that. That's why I don't drink anymore.
Yeah.
When you do something like I did to my wrist, forget about it.
Yeah.
You've crossed a huge line with people. Excuse me. And I decided to give up the drink. A year later, I gave up the cigarettes. The only thing really in my life now would be my sweets.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But I think the responsibility that you took, giving up the drink, or giving up something because of what happened to you, it's like, that's the coaster got dropped. It's just that the idea that you took that responsibility when some people, I'm not going to say that they don't, because sometimes it's very difficult for some people, and sometimes they use it as a crutch to use your, and you'd really like to see them give it up, because that they'd actually be better off. They don't have the brain for alcohol, or the mindset, whatever it is.
The way I look at it is I was born hypersensitive. Like that. Again, I don't blame my parents. I'll argue the case, if I had my parents' life, and I know my parents' life, both of them, with 8 kids, I wouldn't be booking Central Parks. I'd be booking loans for a couple of months every year. I would not be able to cope with it. And how they got through it, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's not about blame or anything like that. But at the same token, I was born hypersensitive. That's just the way life is. I could have been born with a tailbone, 6 fingers, whatever.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. I'm not a believer in God or anything like that. Very sorry if you do exist. But
apologize to them later.
Apologize. They won't let me in. I do always picture God and the devil, and they're both arguing, going, I'm not taking them.
Yeah, just left.
You have to take them.
That's a purgatory story.
Hopefully, yeah. I'll build my own place then. But the way I look at it is, when I came here, I came with a certain set of traits, and it was up to me to undo them. And that'll take a lifetime, hopefully. Yeah. Now, as I said, I have no longer traits of borderline personality disorder. I have no anxiety.
That's great.
Zero. Which I honestly, like, borderline personality disorder, you can kind of deal with. The anxiety, forget about it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
It's difficult.
Sick of my stomach feeling like a Dyson washing machine spinning both ways.
Yeah.
I don't have that anymore. That is mental in its own way.
Yeah.
To be able to turn around and say, I literally have no anxiety.
That's brilliant, though.
Yeah.
It's really great.
And post-traumatic stress disorder. I mean, unfortunately, look, post-traumatic stress disorder, right? It's traumatic stress disorder. It kind of tells you something happened, right?
A lot of stuff going on in the title.
It's a mystery. But you couldn't come up from behind and touch me, or I'd lunge at you.
Right.
For fear. I was afraid you were going to hit me, right? It took me 106 times for people to come up behind me, touch me on the back, and I have to be touched because, as I said to you earlier on, I've always headphones on. I could be cleaning my spray gun.
Yeah.
So they'd have to touch me on the back. It took over 106 times for people to touch me that I didn't jump.
Yeah.
But it didn't take 107.
Yeah.
I'm
And from
very
then,
proud of
so
that.
you said that's it then?
I'm done. You can touch me from behind now.
Yeah.
For me, that's my point about mental health.
Yeah.
It didn't take 107 times. It took 106 times for me to say, you're okay, you're in work, you're not at home, you're not a child, you're safe.
It's great.
It didn't take 107.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's great. And so how important of a role has your wife played?
Huge.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Yeah, like, to be honest with you, she's going to be made into a saint.
That's all right.
That's the truth, because, like, I analyse everything, if I'm being honest. Everything. To me, I have to break everything down to zero. Once I break it down to zero, I'm good to go. My wife is literally the only human being that I know that could handle me.
Yeah.
There is no other woman that could handle me.
Yeah.
Literally, that's a fact.
And what do you think her skills are then? What do you think?
She thankfully her skill is she sees beyond me.
Okay.
She sees beyond the drama. I'm very dramatic, extremely dramatic as a person. Like when I get up and if I'm minding the kids in the morning, between me and Jim Carrey in the morning times, you couldn't tell the difference because I'm pulling faces. When I'm trying to entertain the kids.
But how much do they love it though? And
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, like.
And how many kids have you got? Just
3 kids.
Okay, 3 kids.
3 kids. But when I'm doing breakfast in the morning, like I'm pulling faces. I have this face, that face, and there's a couple of different characters in there, and I'll speak with a German accent and a French accent, and then I have a puppet. And I'll be honest with you, right?
Yeah.
It's just to get them through the morning.
Right.
Because kids are kids. So it's my way. When I get up in the morning, I have it in my head, entertain them. Yeah. And that way you're not stressed. You're not going, oh my God. No, I have a routine and, do breakfast, whatnot. Yeah. But, but back to Emma, yeah, she has a natural ability to see through people.
Okay.
She can see a person. She can tell a person straight off.
Yeah. And
for some reason, she's seen the good in me. I remember years ago, I remember someone said, oh, that fella's only a monster.
Right.
And I don't know who it was, but I'll never forget, she turned around and she said, yeah, that's what you see, but someday you're going to see what I see. Yeah. And that still cuts me to the heart. I'm like, it's sweet. How did you see that? Yeah. And now I'm there. Yeah. It only took like 17 years. Still getting there. But she's able to see stuff like that. Yeah. And she keeps correcting me. I love that. Yeah. She's never stopped correcting me. You need that.
It's not just that case of saying he's grand. Like
she doesn't give up.
Yeah.
She doesn't give up. She keeps. If I'm a devil for cursing, I mean the amount of preparation I had to do coming here.
Everybody did that. Trust me.
Yeah. Every 4th word out of my mouth is a curse. And thankfully she's always corrected me. She's never given up. Yeah. That's the secret. Yeah. Is she's never once gave up.
It's the secret, but it's not a lot of people are not capable of doing it because it relies on a lot of inner strength, a lot of patience,
Yeah.
You know, and to have that amounted to help you through it. It wasn't just it's not a sense of dealing with someone, but to help you. And look, if I was talking to your wife now, she'd be telling you things how you've helped her. So it's like works both ways.
Course.
Obviously,
like it's not marriage isn't a one way street. 100%. I mean, I'm funny. I'm humorous. You know, I'm getting fat. She's not as fat. She's never fat. She's the most toned she's ever been.
Really?
Yeah. I keep saying to her, like, it's going to be great. It's going to be like Posh and Shrek.
Yeah. Like, hey.
Yeah. Well, I've never been more comfortable with myself, so I don't care. To me, it's the head.
Yeah.
If my head is fine, I don't care what I look like.
Yeah.
I've never, like, even this evening, God help her, she was trying to fix me. Coming out here, and I was like, I'm grand.
Yeah,
I don't. Like,
we don't worry about those things out here.
Neither do I.
Trust me.
Yeah,
it's good, and like that's obviously brilliant about the family. But I talked a bit about the Facebook thing, and I just want to know a couple more things really, because you talk very well about the things that you have been through. But then I've also read passages where, or posts that you've written where you've clearly had to dig deep, or not dig deep, I mean study, like, you know what I mean, like have to look things up. Is that something that you enjoy doing to help other people, or just... I
listen to headphones. I have headphones in my ear all day, and like, again with my wrist, that was ground zero for me.
Yeah,
that was enough, done, dusted.
Yeah.
So when that happened in 2009, I was always reading up on psychology and why people think the way they are and all this sort of stuff. But I just absorb books now. Absolutely. And, excuse me, every time I listen to a book, I don't read. I learn a bit more.
Yeah.
And I love that. And that's what, like, the reason I post on Facebook is... I always say to people when I'm chatting to them, I'd be chatting to people behind the scenes, and I love that. I love chatting to people. Write every morning. Yeah. Every morning, write. It's the one thing I always say. And people say to me, do you write? But I actually do, and that's Facebook. Yeah, yeah. But they don't know that that's me writing.
Oh, they think you've copied and pasted or something like that?
No, but that's my way of getting up and what's in my head. Yeah. Now, lately, I'm not writing because... I am writing, but I'm studying nutrition. Right, so okay. I'm writing big time. Yeah. But I'm studying. But yeah, I think it's an illness. There has to be some form of a cure. Yeah. Every problem has a solution, or else it's not a problem. I was told I can't grow hungry. Okay, a couple of things I was told. Oh, you can't get hungry, or I get really, really angry. I can go 3 or 4 days now without food. Yeah, I pushed it to do that. Like today, the first meal I had was at 6 o'clock. I left myself all day. I like to give my body a bit of a clean out every now and again. But when you're told, oh, you've bipolar, this means A, B, C, D. You watch that like a hawk, don't you? You go, of course, this is who I am now. And again, you put the collar on. Yeah. Right? And this is who I am. Right? I have borderline personality disorder. What does that mean when you don't have it?
Yeah. I know, yeah.
I'm still mad as a brush. Thankfully. I love the fact that I'm open and out there. But my argument is, I suppose I might be veering off, is look at your illness. Don't think it's a piece of concrete. Yeah. It's mental. The brain is elastic. It can form new shapes. That's a fact. So if it took something to get you to your illness, it has to take something to get you away from it.
But I think that's what you do with your writing in a way. That kind of sums it up quite well, because it does become something that you would write a post one day that would be about maybe just anxiety, for instance, and then it'd be something completely at odds the other day. But if you really sat down and started comparing the two pieces, there is a link between them. I remember you told me a few weeks ago you were studying on narcissism, I think it was.
That's right, yeah.
And you were trying to get in the mindset, and first thing I said was like, Jesus, no. That was the immediate, there's no way I'm going near it.
I love it. Like, to get, like, I'm smiling here because I love the mental illnesses. Yeah. I mean, to me, they're like 100-mile Dalmatians. They're just sitting there, and I'm looking at them going, I can see you clear as day, and I can just stroke the back of your head, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like OCD, love it, absolutely love it. I love it. I love the fact that it's OCD. It reminds me of Loki out of Thor. It's just that devious little fecker, constantly playing games in your head, telling you, "Hey, do this 15 times, or your family will die."
Yeah,
and I think like that's just brilliant in its own weird way. Not great if you have it.
No.
But when you realise that it's just mental, right? And it is. It's mental.
Yeah.
It's a big play in your head. A massive play. I always argue the case with this, right? It mightn't come across as well as it's in my head. Okay? Your prefrontal cortex has your morals, values, ethics and beliefs. Right? That's a fact. That's why we can build and plan, and we're moral, and we don't kill. Well, most of us don't, because we're moral. Animals don't have that. They couldn't. I could imagine a crocodile crying as it's killing a kangaroo or something.
Crocodile
right?
tears. That's what it's like.
Well, it's only to protect their eyes. But we have these abilities. But now I'm veering off. But it's all in the mind. You can't have. No, I'm veering off.
No, it's good, but it's that idea. Let me just go back to this. Is the fact that you talk about mental illness and the 101 Dalmatians, and are you just fascinated by what the mind can do to you?
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's what I meant. Right. So your prefrontal cortex gives you your values, your ethics, your beliefs, and your amygdala is your primal part of your brain. So that's your amygdala is your primal. It's fear and it's survival and all that. Right. And this is my argument. You get an intrusive thought, okay?
Yeah.
Do you honestly think that nasty intrusive thought came from your prefrontal cortex? Right?
Yeah.
I would argue it doesn't.
Okay.
Because there's morals there, ethics and values. Okay?
Yeah.
So then it has to come from your amygdala.
Yeah.
So this is how I picture it now in my head. You have someone standing on stage and they throw this thought, hey, what do you think it is? And they put a thought into your head. And you feel terrible because it doesn't relate to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you go, oh my God, that's not me, right? They run around, change into a different character, not really, come out and go, shame on you. You should be ashamed of yourself. It's the same thought. Yeah. The same thought that put the thought in your head is shaming you.
Yeah.
And I'm there going, nowadays I go, I'm not buying in anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for that show. You're the same person.
Yeah. That's interesting.
You're the exact same one. You're putting an intrusive thought into my head, and then you want me to feel shame.
It's pretty interesting.
You know what I mean? So I go, I'm not buying in. I'm not buying in.
It's cool. There's so much, and like I said to you before the show, I hope you come back and do another chat, have another chat with us. I wanted to talk. You're the last person I'm going to talk to this about in this whole, hopefully ever, but. I got the sense, talking to you a few weeks back, that you were quite enjoying parts of the lockdown.
Oh, I loved
a bit like me.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What was it that you liked so much about it?
Because I'm introverted.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate the sun with a passion.
Yeah.
Love the winter. Love closing off the house, getting it cozy. I can't handle the heat. And when I overheat, it actually, this is, I suppose everyone's going to know now, when I get too hot, it uses the energy that I need to regulate. So I find it harder to regulate my emotions.
Oh, really?
So I'm actually more angrier during the summer. Because during the winter, I can heat up, and it's easy to heat up, but it's very hard to cool down. So a huge amount of my energy during the summer is used on regulating my emotions to not get angry.
Wow.
So I hate the summer.
Yeah.
So being outside stresses me. It literally stresses me. So the lockdown was like a dream come true. I was off for 7 weeks with the kids. Fine.
Yeah.
Like, and that's something as well that I'd like to add. For a person with borderline personality disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder and severe anxiety disorder, to be able to say they were at home with 3 kids, 6 years of age, and twins of 4.
Oh, twins. Oh, I didn't know you had twins.
Yeah, twins, yeah.
Oh.
To be able to say that you enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That's a testament
For
to
sure.
It's not forever.
Yeah.
It's not look, you have to work at it.
Mm.
It's not going to go away by itself. If I went off now and ate pizza and chips for 3 weeks and didn't exercise and went to bed at 1 o'clock, 3 weeks time I would be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is the illness there? It's not if I mind myself.
Yeah.
And it is if I don't.
Yeah. And then so obviously when the kids are there, you're entertaining the kids. Your wife is there. What do you like to do when the kids are gone to bed? We'll say, are you a man that sits down and watches a bit of Netflix?
Oh yeah, like my routine would be very, very. It's 100%.
Yeah, like mine. I'm very rigid.
My routine, right? So I'm up now around say 5:15. I'll study until 7:15. From 7 o'clock until 8:30. Kids dressed, breakfast, the normal routine. Go to work, come home, dinner, bit with the kids, and then myself and my wife, we make sure we spend at least an hour every day.
Yeah.
Watching a bit of Netflix or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like.
And then that's it. 9:30 I go to bed, or 10 o'clock I go to bed, and that's my day.
It's so close to mine in the sense of getting up very early. Now, obviously, I don't have kids, but say it's just the getting up very early, going to sleep early.
Yeah.
So it's not for the same reasons, but I don't like being tired either. Like, I like to know that if I go to bed at this time and get up at this time, I'll be grand and I can do my run or whatever.
100%.
What you like when it gets messed up though? If it's a couple of sleepless nights in a row, how do you feel then? Is that something that really would get on top of you?
It would be the equivalent of, I don't know if you've seen The Avengers.
I haven't.
Right, okay.
Sorry.
You've heard of the Hulk, haven't
Oh,
you?
yeah.
Something similar.
Really?
Smash. Yeah, I'm a nightmare.
Right.
There's no point in saying I'm not. I'm an absolute nightmare. You cannot listen to me. You can't talk to me.
Yeah.
I don't care. I have no emotions. I have no empathy.
Wow. Yeah.
Because I have nothing left.
Yeah.
I'm basically on reserve.
Yeah.
So the energy required is completely to deal with me.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of energy to deal with me. So I make sure I have quite a lot of energy there.
And that's the whole thing, and people talk about it all the time, is getting those that regular sleep cycle.
Again, I'll argue the case. Right, I don't drink, I don't smoke, and that's a big give up in life. I wasn't happy when I drank and smoked. My diet is good. It's excellent at times, and then it goes from excellent to good. It just can't afford to go bad. It's really and truly that simple.
Yeah.
It just can't.
Yeah.
If I do binge, I make sure then I absolutely eat huge amounts of good food to get that back in there. So with me, it's a simple my life is simple. Now, I spoke in St. Lomans to 25 doctors, and I explained my routine, and they said, sounds a bit hard.
Okay.
And I was offended by that, going, well, it's an awful lot easier than being upset all the time.
Or in St. Lomans.
Or in St. Lomans.
Yeah.
So my routine keeps my mind balanced. Yeah. And as you said, I get up around that hour. That's my optimal time. That's when I will have the maximum amount of energy. I mean, I'm getting studying in. I'm getting to help in the house. I'm getting to go and do a full day's work. Yeah. I'm getting to come home, and we'll say I'll do dinners or Emma will do dinners when we get home. It just depends on who's home first. And then you help clean or whatever. To me, that's great.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. What more do you want?
Exactly. Got one more question for you. Do you have a question for me?
I do, yeah.
Oh, God. One person's going to roll up one of these days and go, no, I don't have any.
I do, yeah. No,
okay.
And I thought about this, and the question would be, you're doing so great with the podcast. Yeah. Are you ever going to go into film? I'm not computer literate, so as in you can see
visual.
Visual.
Do you know? I spoke to John about this. John is very much the person who does all this computers and things before. It's something that I think we would have an interest in. Obviously, a little bit more effort has to go into it.
Yeah.
You talk about appearances. I'd have to like groom up a bit, shave off the beard or whatever. But it does. You do have to think of those. You also have to think of the correct the visuals match with the sounds, all those things. But to be honest, I probably will eventually.
Yeah.
It's something that interests me. Yeah.
And it's like that as well. I mean, I'm laid back here.
Yeah.
It's not because of me, but it is.
Yeah.
This podcast is. No, but the fact is, when you can, like, I'll give you an example. Joe Rogan, I don't listen to him, but I'll watch him.
Okay, right.
Because I like to see you see, for a person like me, it's body posture.
Right, yeah,
so we don't really, you ask anyone with borderline personality disorder, we listen to what you're saying last and watch everything first.
Oh, really?
Absolutely, everything.
Oh.
Yeah, so we're scaling it. So, again, for me, because I'm a visual like that, I'm looking at body posture. I'm completely relaxed out here.
Yeah, I think that was great, actually, when you first came in. I was quite nervous about this, and not because of you, but you're the first person who I never met before.
That's right.
So we had spoken a bit online and that, but obviously I'm quite anxious, and I talked to you about this before too, about anxious about meeting new people, and even talking on the phone, I'm anxious about those kind of things. So I was quite nervous about it, and we kind of just came upstairs and started recording. But you were very, very relaxed, very comfortable, and not everybody's like that, including myself. For the first 2 episodes I did, I was very nervous. I was only here on my own. But people who haven't been on a podcast before, whatever it is, have come in and they've been quite nervous. Luckily for us, they've got into the groove quite quickly, and it's never really come across as nerves that have lasted throughout. But you're very much a very laid back person anyway. Is that do you think that's just a comfort in your own skin, or is there more to it than that?
Completely. I mean, I 100% don't like.
I said I had one last question, and then I asked you another question, but go for it.
I'm completely comfortable because I know, like, I'll use the word. I know I'm mad, and I love it.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's
don't
good.
care.
Yeah.
Because you know what? So what? I've nothing to be ashamed of.
No.
I get up, 3 kids, great wife, work, do the things that society wants me to do. I don't go out and do other things that society doesn't want me to do. Why would I be ashamed?
Yeah.
Why would I feel any other different?
But it is a podcaster's dream for somebody to just come in and just go, right, grand, let's go, and then off we go.
Well, you see, if you ask me about computers, I'd be anxious and nervous because I don't know. Yeah. But I live with my head. Yeah. And I like, I'll be honest with you, I get up with my head every day, and I'm very respectful of my mind. Yeah. Very Years ago, I used to try and stop it. And I think that's a big deal with people. They want it to stop, not realising. This is another thing that does be in my head. Like, I wake up some mornings and my thoughts will be absolutely mental, and I can never put them to words properly. But when you're trying to control your mind, you're also trying to control the part of your mind that helps you breathe, beats your heart, blinks. You're never getting control. Yeah. And everyone's trying to get control.
Everyone's trying to,
Everyone, if I can just control my mind, I'll be better. And the mind, I would imagine, is going, that's never happening.
Do you know, I understand fully, and I just want to say, like, thank you very much for being so honest. And I know you talk about this all the time and you think it's no big deal, but genuinely, listeners out there, it'll be a big deal when they hear you talk so openly about the stuff that you've been through.
I hope they realise.
I hope, and they will. I know some of them will be. And thank you to Jonathan Sweeney, who was the one that got me in contact with Sean in the first place.
The Gary Castle match.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah. One of my favourite teams. I absolutely,
That's not good. We'll skip that bit. But so thank you very much, Sean. We appreciate you coming on. It's been great. And you'll come back to talk to us a bit. I know we didn't get to talk about food, and I know that's a big thing that you're into as well. I'll just fly through this stuff. Thank you to John for all his work, his family, and Megan, to Ger, my mother, my father, my grandfather. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Wheatley. Facebook's the same. Instagram is Wheatley_Dead. Twitter is I always get that one wrong. I think it's Wheatley the Weekly. And then we've got we're on Spotify, Apple, Anchor, etc. Go to Discord. If you need to John or myself to send you an invite, just go to us on, go to our Facebook pages and send us a message, and we'll do that for you. I think that's it for number 21, which is we've come of age, lads.
Yeah.
Once again, Sean, it's been an absolute pleasure
Absolutely
talking to you.
loved it, yeah.
Thank you very much. Listen, take care, everyone, and we'll speak to you next week. Thank you. Goodbye.